Hi, I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Hilary. And
this is the Hard Truth Podcast.
Hey, it's been a minute.
It has. It definitely has.
Oh my gosh. It's been more than a minute. It's been maybe a little over a week or so. How has life been treating you?
A little bit better.
Good.
Yeah. We got a little bit of good news last week, and trying to get my life organized and situated so I feel a little bit better about everything, and it seems to be going a little bit better. So
good.
That's good.
Good.
So far, so good.
Yeah, I got good news this week too, so that was amazing. And
we needed some good news.
Yes. So, and also my project is coming along finally.
I feel like all of ours, well, both of ours, I should say, are.
Yeah, your project is definitely coming along.
Yeah, I'm making some progress myself.
And hopefully get it started this weekend and make it a good thing. Well, so I feel like I kind of talked about this a little bit before. We were talking about doing different ideas for things, and it seems like sex is always the hot topic for us for some crazy reason. So I actually had some questions that were brought about and wanted to know if we would talk about some of these things. So,
okay. Are these going to be questions I need to answer, or are we just going to discuss them?
I think we could if you want to throw in a story, that'd be perfectly fine.
Okay, so they're not directed just
I don't
at
know
me.
that you will
they're
have
not,
any.
They're not directed just at me. This is questions that were sent to us, or
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And so we're going to elaborate on our thoughts about those.
I think both of us probably could give stories on things, but
I'm willing to share a little bit more now.
But I feel like there's so many topics right now because everyone's having relationship issues, and sex seems to be the biggest thing for most people in relationships. So
I'm just amazed that there are relationships.
Yeah, that too. They're relationships, but they're very open. So I know we were wanting several different topics, so I'll just kind of start with this one, and then we'll go from there. So, Sexpectations. And
is there a question or a comment?
This is basically what people expect in a relationship with their partner or partners, I guess. So did you know 1 in 3 couples never openly talk about their sex life, but say it's the number one reason they feel disconnected?
Yes, I do agree with that because I can relate to that.
Yes, I feel like I can relate to that as well.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, if you're already having a bad relationship aside from sex being the topic, if you're already having issues, you're not going to necessarily talk about things intimately if you're not even talking about the day-to-day stuff. If your communication is horrible to begin with, I think that would be the last thing you would talk about. Some people use it as like a makeup thing, like they fight during the day about all kinds of other stuff, but then they're intimate, and so it makes up for it.
But relationship. I think you're losing your communication in that part.
Oh yeah.
I'm not a big fighter. I don't like to have fights.
Non-confrontational.
Yes, I am definitely that person. But if you don't tell the person what's wrong or whatever, then I think that's also going to affect your intimacy as well.
Yeah, but if you tell them what's wrong and they're not willing to listen to you, or hear you out, or even to the point to even try to understand if they do and how to fix it, or won't even discuss it with you and just sit there and look at you, even if you do get them to listen, what are you going to do?
Exactly.
So
I know this is one of the biggest things, mismatched libidos, which means, in layman's terms, is one person likes sex more than the other person does.
Okay, but why does a person like sex more than another person? So there's all kinds of reasons, I would say, for that. One would be trouble in the marriage. Is there hard feelings toward that person? I feel like it would be hard to have a very good intimate or sexual relationship with someone if you have hard feelings toward them. And then not only that, but you got to look at like kids and how they factor into relationships.
Is a person tired?
In jobs, and are they tired, and what do they do? And then not only that, there's even like, medication. Mm-hmm. For whatever reason you may be taking that could kill your libido, I would think. I think there's all kinds of different reasons. And it could be that somebody's having extramarital, relations.
Wanting to have sex with
so they're not going to want to have sex with their partner.
Yeah, I think maybe more of what they're talking about is maybe one person has always been sexual and the other person was not. But then they got into the relationship. That's something you should have discussed before you got into the relationship, whether marriage, whatever.
Well, most people have sex before they get married now, obviously. I don't know anybody that probably wouldn't. But back in the day, it was taboo, in the olden days, and that's what they say. Like
the old days.
We always talk about the old days. This is before our time, y'all. But we're talking like 1800s. But anyway, but you have to think about it. Like that's what sex was meant for, was to bring an already married couple closer and bonded together, and as a unit, especially if you're fighting kids and shit. Like if you got some really terrible kids, you need to be a united front. Intimacy obviously brings you closer.
Right.
But, I don't think anybody waits so you would know if it's going to be good or not, or if it's going to be, and you should kind of know, what they expect or want. But I think a lot of people, once they get married, they lose that spark.
Oh, yeah.
And some of them start looking.
Because they don't date anymore. They don't date one another.
Exactly. Just like we talked about that before.
Yeah.
So,
I know awkward sex talks. I know people don't want to talk about it because, again, our generation, we didn't grow up talking about it. It was, again, taboo.
I feel like it's so much easier to talk about now.
And now everybody talks about it, I feel like. But who they like or what they like or, whatever. But I think you have to have those awkward sex talks, because if you're going into a relationship and say you're into S&M or whatever it might be.
I don't think it's really awkward if you're that close with the person.
Well, yeah, if you're
in a bad relationship, I'm telling you, you're not going to talk about that stuff.
I just wonder sometimes, is it more on the female side or is it on the male side? Like, is the male afraid to tell a female, or is a female like, I should just be demure and not do anything?
It depends on the person.
I
think if you have a really good relationship or a really good sex life, regardless, I think it's easier to talk. I don't even think you have to be in a relationship. I think there's some people that just, people that are just having sex and they have a good relationship with their friends or whatever. I think they could probably talk about it. As far as married couples go, they definitely should be able to talk about it. But bad relationships, no.
Yeah.
I don't think anything's going to get discussed.
Well, I know we discussed this before too. Like if you've had an argument, you're definitely not wanting to have sex with your husband or, partner or whatever, because you just look at them and want to stab them.
Yeah, and people talk about makeup sex. I think that's only if you're like you have a really good relationship. Right, you're in love with that person. You really,
And maybe it was just over something stupid, like they didn't pick up their laundry or, something,
it's not like they were cheating on you and you got makeup sex.
Right. Yeah, let me have sex with you after you just cheated on me. So another thing is unspoken fantasies.
Unspoken fantasies.
Why again, I think it goes back to, like, are you afraid of what the person's going to think of you, or are you...
I just don't think so, because, I think that... I think if you're confident and you're comfortable in yourself and your relationship, I just think it probably would just, flow. But I think, like I said, coming from a bad relationship, I just feel like those type of people are going to have a hard time.
Yeah. I feel like I never talked about that kind of stuff with anybody. I knew what kind of sex life I was having, but it wasn't, when I was married, the first one was very boring, but you want something a little different. You want excitement or whatever, but little did I realize he was cheating on me, so he didn't care whether he was having sex with me or not. You don't know what he was
doing there versus what with you.
But I was not, but when I found out.
But you wouldn't have talked to him about it.
I checked out after that.
Yeah,
the first time I checked out.
But you weren't even talking to him about that kind of stuff.
No, I think I was just so mad at that point but again, when you marry someone, and especially in the South, I think we're brought up in that generation that it's for life. Like you stay together.
Yeah. I had intended to stay married.
3 times and I was out.
Yeah. Well.
So, and then let's see. real life stories. I don't think you should probably tell your real life stories to your partner. Not all of them.
What you talking about?
They're saying, should you tell your partner your real life stories about what kind of sex you've had or would like to have, or
I mean, I don't
like
think
you've
there's
had
any-
with someone else, and be like, well, you don't do it that way or whatever.
Right.
So
I mean, I don't think couples should talk about their past.
I don't either.
Married couples
I don't
should
think
talk
that's
about their past.
that's
I think people
definitely-
that are not married probably do,
right.
but I don't think married couples should, because I think I put something in their mind to just think about and worry about or whatever. But should you be able to talk to them about things that you want or want to try?
Oh,
or
yeah,
whatever?
for sure.
I think so.
So, but back to the Sexpectations. I guess it doesn't just involve a relationship. It could be in dating too. Like, what are your expectations? Like, are one of these people that you start dating and then you're thinking second date, third date, a week? What?
Yeah, I don't know what's
understand.
appropriate now. I mean,
I feel like people are just like on the first day.
Yeah, see, and I'm really not.
I'm not that person
well,
either. So,
well, I'm not. I'm still not dating per se. You know, so that's not even going to be an option.
right. But are you going to get to the point where you're just going to like jump on somebody?
Maybe so. Maybe so. Never know.
And then this. So, where do these expectations come from? So these were some of the list of things that I pulled up: media, porn, past partners, culture, and gender norms.
Well, let's go back to sorry to interrupt you, but
no.
Like, we didn't finish discussing. I didn't get your take on, like, remember I said I really didn't know what was appropriate now, but you said you feel like everybody was like having sex on the first date. Or
I feel
whatever.
like everybody I talk to, that's what they do.
Well, is that why they're going out though, to have sex? Or are they going out
I
looking
don't
for a
necessarily-
relationship? Are they looking for a relationship, or are they just looking for a hookup?
Some of them are hookup people, but I think other ones, maybe they've talked like texting and stuff already, so they feel like they know them. So then when they do finally go out on that date.
So what I have found out is, I feel like, from what people have told me, just in conversations we've had based on things we talk about on the podcast, I feel like women are talking to these men and they're building relationship. They're in the get to know stage.
Right.
And then they finally do go out with a man and they're thinking that they know them well enough. They feel like they've already spent enough time talking to them that they feel like they should have sex with them to see if there's any connection or anything like that.
Right.
But what they don't realize is the guy has led them up to that point, playing the game and just doing what he has to do to have sex with her.
Right.
And then after they have sex, they ghost them.
Right. I think that's a lot of it. So women, beware.
Yeah. So it's not.
But there are women that do it to men too.
Well, and that's what I was going to say. And I'm not saying that all men are like that. And I'm not saying that women can't be like that either, because I actually know of one. And that was a little bit more of a different topic we talked about. It had involved, like, needing things and a person, feeling used because they felt like they would come and do things with them because they needed their car fixed or they needed money or whatever they needed. And so they were playing a different type of game more so. But this is directed to, how many dates kind of thing. And so I don't know. I mean, I'm not, going to go out with you on the first date. I'm probably not going to go out with you at all. So here's the thing. So
definitely not me. So I think but in dating, in again, back to our generation, I mean, I think you went on several dates and then you decided whether you even wanted to
go out with them again.
And sometimes you didn't, but if you did, I think it was a mutual thing. Like,
and I think a lot of them we're telling our age, but I think a lot of us were scared that our parents were going to find out and beat us to a pulp.
Thank you very much. So, yeah, I do think there are expectations.
I'm not saying I was an angel. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying that it was a lot different. And I don't know how the kids are raised nowadays. I don't know anything per se about the really young kids, but I mean, a lot of people in their 30s and 40s and 50s talk to me about situations. A lot of people are going through some of the same similar things, and it's really scary that how much things have changed.
Oh, yeah. I feel like nowadays, though, and this is just things I've read on the internet, men expect women to have a lower body count, but men can have whatever. It doesn't matter for them for some crazy reason. But then they want to find a woman who's going to sleep with them on that first date or whatever it might be. So I'm confused. Do you want a woman who has a low body count or none at all, like you want a virgin? Or do you want someone, like, did they just look at this woman and go, I think she'll sleep with me? I'm confused.
I think it's a game for them. They don't know if they will or not,
Right.
but they want to know that they're good enough at their game that they can convince them to. Like,
Right.
maybe they're doing something that somebody else couldn't. It's like, oh, I'm going to get her.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And so, I mean, I think for the most part, your average Joe is probably just looking for love like a woman would be.
Right.
But you have so many players now.
Oh, yeah.
And like I said, we said men and women.
Yeah.
So,
I think a woman could just look at a guy and be like, hey, he's hot. I'm going to get him however I can. I'm going to get him.
Yeah.
And whether it's I have to have sex with him or if it's about, I'm just going to keep flirting with him and, leading him on, whatever it is, I'm going to do that. So,
yeah.
I think
we definitely live in different times.
We do.
I've learned a lot in the last year.
I'm telling you, things have completely changed since you were dating before. Oh. Completely changed.
Yeah.
So, all right. So back to the other. So what do you feel like any of those things? I don't know if you remember any of those.
No, you gotta tell me again. Tell me again.
Okay. So I'll just be honest. When I say these, like, what influenced your sexpectations? Was it media, porn, past partners, culture, or gender norms, or all of the above? But I will say, I didn't know about sex. Like, I was an older virgin because most of the people I know were already having sex.
Are you
like
talking
multiple partners?
You're talking about at the very,
like
what
set that up? What made you expect sex to be that certain way? Or did you expect it to be all romantic and lovely and everything? Or did you expect it to be hot? Like, what were your expectations?
I don't think I had any expectations. I have expectations now.
Oh, boy, do I.
We've learned a lot in our years.
Right? So, I mean, I expect certain things because those are the things I like. And if I reiterate that to a partner, and they don't comply, I'm probably out.
Well, I mean, I kind of feel like if you're going back to when we were virgins or people were virgins.
Right.
I think a lot of people didn't have expectations because, they just wanted to get it over with, see what it was like, kind of thing.
And that's what I think all my friends were doing.
Yeah.
But multiple people, and I'm still over here like, I've not had sex. So,
Yeah. And there was nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, no, I know. And I really probably would still be a virgin if it wouldn't have gone away. But anyway, I'm not even going to say my age, but old virgin. That's what I would be, like the 40-year-old virgin.
No.
But anyway.
You're definitely not. You have a child. I don't even have children.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. But back then, when what happened, I would not.
Yeah.
I would have waited.
Yeah.
Because I was looking for that specific person.
Yeah. I think a lot of women our age were.
Yeah.
I think a lot of women still are.
Yeah.
But if they're single in this day and age and they've never been married, Lord help them.
Right.
If they're our age, because they're in for a rude awakening.
I know, it's terrible.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I think people our age will probably never get married again.
Yeah.
It would have to be like God puts him in front of me and go, here he is. He's perfect.
Yeah.
And he could do no wrong.
It would have to be like auras and rainbows and unicorns flying by for me. So
I think I think I would be able to put up with a lot more knowing I'm not going to get married. Like, my expectations for a relationship will be a lot less, knowing if there's not going to be an intention of marriage, but maybe a long relationship or something, I think you would tolerate more. But to have that commitment, I feel like if you have that commitment, you need honesty, trust, loyalty, all that kind of stuff. So do you want to take it that far now in the day we live in, or are you just going to live in the times that we live in?
Right. I really don't even know how to answer that at all.
I think I'm a little in depth on some of this stuff because it's an eye opener.
Well, I'm not even looking, so I don't I don't even want to think about it. I guess that's my whole thing. I mean,
you were just in a relationship though, so you had to think about it some.
I don't even think I was in a relationship. I don't even know what that was, but it was something.
It was a relationship.
No, not really. Anyway,
there's different types of relationships, and relationships are not.
And the one before that either.
They're not predictable.
No,
they're not
not.
predictable. I mean, we could talk about your relationships, and not one single one of them is going to be the same or going to be the way you expected it.
No.
Neither was my marriage.
Yeah, but see, that's what I'm saying. Expectations. So we expect a certain thing in relationships. We expect sex to be a certain way in relationships. And I think it all stems from these things
expect?
Right here.
But what do we expect?
Well, I don't know that. I mean, I don't know what you expect. I know what I expect, but I'm not sharing it with you guys. So there you go. But I don't think media ever did. I mean, yes, you saw a good looking boy on TV or whatever, and you had a little crush on him or whatever, but I wasn't thinking about sex because, again, I was still a virgin at the time. But
yeah, I just remember thinking, oh, he's cute.
Yeah, you had the posters on your walls.
You just wanted to spend time with him.
Yes. I want to go to his concert.
Yeah, he's
but
cute.
Anyway, but porn was never an option back then.
I think I remember I did good if I had the guy's like school photo, and I'm like,
oh yeah, you put a little heart around him in your
No, I didn't do that. I just would look at it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I wish I was in a relationship.
Yeah.
You know.
But you didn't think about sex.
He didn't give me the time of day, and now he'd probably chase me.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a story for that too. So when do you think media would have? Do you think it's just because everything is sex? They sell milk with sex. You know what I'm saying? Like,
well,
it's everything. It's
I don't
everywhere.
want to say that we didn't have social media back when we were dating, but I just think all of that now is what brings sex out so much.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, and the expectations
Mm-hmm.
and there's so many different things, and I think it's really hard for people to stay faithful.
Oh yeah,
that have a wandering eye
because of the social media.
They would have just thought about it before and not. Is that the ice maker?
Yes. Every time. I forget every time, folks. I'm sorry.
I think those that would have had married people or people in relationships that would have had a wandering eye probably would not have acted on them.
Right.
Where today they can message someone, text someone. I mean, obviously they could call somebody, but nowadays people don't even call. They just text you or message you.
And that's why Snapchat is so popular, because it disappears.
Exactly. And not even that, but it's just you reach out, and if you don't get an answer, you don't get an answer.
Right.
You haven't lost anything for trying.
Nope.
And so married men do that too now, just to see, they're playing the field to see what they can get away with.
Right.
And whereas before, like I said, the wandering eye was just the wandering eye, and nothing. I mean, maybe in a situation a person wound up working with someone and they were alone or worked late at night or went on trips together.
Oh, it was always back in the day.
And there was some kind of opportunity.
Yeah, back in the day, that's what.
Don't say back in the day. I've already said it.
I know. Media. A long time ago, when we used to watch TV, when TV was good.
We used to watch TV.
When we were watching, there was nothing else to do. Those shows would always be the husband was sleeping with the secretary then going home or whatever.
Yeah.
So I think it's always been there. And I have told this story probably to you before. I don't know when, but we're watching older shows. My dad is ill and at home and stuff. And so he's been watching a lot of old Westerns and things like that. But we've watched like Carol Burnett and I Love Lucy. All of those things had innuendos in them, and they were there. But as a child, I didn't get them.
You didn't catch it.
And I don't think that my child is getting them either. So it's very funny though to see those kinds of things.
Yeah.
And
somebody else was just talking about this the other day with me at work, and they were like, you didn't notice those things or whatever.
You did not.
And then they started coming out with what PG-13,
so
rated R movies and all that, and you had your parents, if you were 13 or whatever, they weren't letting you watch a rated R movie. I mean, some parents did, but for the most part, there was like sex in the scenes at that point, and so they didn't want you watching that.
Right. Could have been just kissing. I don't know, but
yeah, I don't remember.
I'll say it again, and I think I've said it 15 times now. Porn, but that was not a thing either.
No, I remember guys that I hung out with watching porn.
But it was on like a VHS tape or something, you know.
I mean, I'm not gonna tell you what kind of tape it was because I don't want to tell my age. But I mean, I remember like, you know, hanging out with guys and going to a party and, you know, girls are outside and I come in and the guys are in there watching porn and I'm like, ew, you know, like together, they're watching it together.
Yeah, that's very weird already.
And I'm just like, and then I won't go into details what made it even weirder, but there was something else that made it even weirder. And I'm like, yeah, I think I'll walk back to town.
Right. Yeah, I don't think that was ever an issue. Like, that was not where I was. Like, nobody was doing that. If they were doing it in secret. They weren't.
Oh no, I got some high school friends, man. They was, you know.
Maybe they were. I don't know. I mean, I was not part of it.
They were watching porn. You know,
no, I mean, we probably went to parties and stuff, and I'm sure things were happening in certain rooms or whatever. Yeah. But I wasn't part of that. I just didn't. That was not what I was there for. So
well, I wouldn't either. But I mean, but you see it, you're used to it. You know it's going to happen.
Oh yeah.
It's just a matter of whether you're going to partake in all that or not. But for the most part, people just like hung out and got to know each other and stuff. And a lot of people met each other through hanging out and parties and things like that. I mean, you kind of expect in high school, you know, you're going to go to school and you're going to graduate and go off to college and never see these people again. And a lot of people in these small towns stayed in these small towns. They might have went to the local colleges.
I thought you were going somewhere else with that. Like, I'm just going to have sex with him because I'm never going to see him again or whatever. I thought that's where you were going with that.
That was not me. But, you know, so if you didn't go to these parties and hang out with these people, it's like, you really didn't know them that well.
Yeah,
and a lot of these people got married and stayed in these local towns is what I'm saying,
right.
Because they met and hung out at these parties and stuff like that. And a lot of people I know got married right out of high school. They didn't go off and move off, you know. I mean, if you got a scholarship, yes, or if your family had money, yes. But a lot of people just like, I was working when I was 13 years old or younger. And so, you know, I could have went off to college from a scholarship, but I chose to stay and work and hang out with my friends and this, that, and the other. But, yeah, I think, like, you're not exposed to that if you're just staying home.
Yeah, no, I probably was not. I mean, I went and stayed with friends and stuff like that, like sleepovers, that kind of stuff, but never part of that, you know. And some of the fathers acted a little weird around me, but other than that, no. So past partners, I think we kind of already touched on that. Like, you're going, my past partner did this and you don't do that or whatever. Culture.
Yeah, I don't think you should ever compare sexual.
Compare that. No.
Yeah, no.
Culture. Now, I do think it is more taboo in some places than others, sex. So, but I think
if your mama's wearing the prairie skirt, you probably should not be.
Yeah, I really feel like culture-wise, though, maybe they're discussing, like, is it all around you? Like, is your family, like, do they walk around naked in front of you? You know, that's what I think that's what.
Yeah, I think that's hard for me to understand. I get it. Like, you know, seeing parents walk around in their underwear and stuff when you're kids. I mean, I don't take that as being anything sexual. I think that's just laziness, and they're just walking around. But
also this town that we're in, I feel like everybody sleeps with everybody. So,
oh, I have a story today. One of my friends was telling me about this girl, and she was telling me, she goes, well, you know that she was sleeping with all of the so-and-sos. And I'm like, what? And I'm like,
yeah,
hey, people just gossip. Holy moly. So somebody, you know, it told somebody else that she slept with, and those people told the people in one town to the other town, and that person's related to that person and told that person that knows me. And I'm like, oh God, I wouldn't want people to know my business like that. But if you're not doing that stuff, it really doesn't matter. Yeah. It's not going to get around. But I guess if you do too much stuff, it gets around. It catches up with you.
I think they're like, you get known to be whatever
a
type
player
of way.
Or yeah.
So, yeah, culture probably does do it. If you're hanging around with a whole bunch of people that don't care one way or the other, how many people they sleep with or whatever, you may also be drawn into that. But all of my friends were, and like I said, I was still a virgin, so I remained that way.
Yeah.
But anyway.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Gender norms. I'm not really sure what they mean by that. Like, do they mean, like...
You go by they or he?
Maybe.
I don't know what that means.
I don't either. We're going to pass that one. Okay, so... realistic versus unrealistic expectations. I can't talk. What's fair and what's fantasy? So if a guy asked you, would you do this? And you say, absolutely not. You're not putting that there.
Well, now, okay. Well, I get that, but I'm just saying is like, what kind of situation are we in and why are we talking about this?
Right. So I think what they mean is if a guy if it's a realistic thing and you're in love with this person and you're
going to be more apt to do whatever they want to do if you're in love with them.
You're like, I might have to have an alcoholic beverage before.
Well, you're just gonna do, with the exception of pain, I would suspect. But, there's good pain and bad pain, obviously. But I think for the most part, you want to please your partner. But I don't think, like, if you're going to take me out on a date and we're sitting at a restaurant, don't be asking me those kind of things.
Yeah, no.
You're going to wind up sitting there at the table when I go to the ladies' room and go out the back door.
Right. That's basically what's going to happen with me, too. So, but I always think they push it. They'll talk to you and everything's great and wonderful. What's your favorite color? How many siblings do you have? And the next, do you like sex? That's the next question. Like, where did that even come from? We weren't even talking about that.
Is this on the date? Or is this on the date?
Dating apps or whatever that I had before.
I was going to say, are you talking about the date or are you talking about the get to know stage?
Yeah, no, many years ago. But, and it's like they have that little innuendo or whatever in it and I just kind of changed the subject.
That's what all men are looking for. And some women. That's what they're just looking to see if they can get away with that.
Push the envelope or whatever. So why do so many people avoid talking about sex? I think we already kind of talked about that. How do you bring it up without killing the mood?
I guess every circumstance is different. Like, are you talking about it, like I said, at dinner? Are you talking about it with your partner? Are you talking about it with somebody you're trying to date? Are you talking to somebody talking about it?
I think they mean like, are you already in the act already and you're just like, hey, can I do this? Or will you do that? Or I think that's what I mean. Like, how do you bring it up without killing the mood? I don't know if there's a possible way to do that. I think that's something that, I guess you could kind of ease into something.
Yeah, but they would have to do that. Yeah.
So I know we've talked about that movie before, but the yes, no, and maybe list, like you can make a yes, I will do this, no, I won't. And maybe, again, after I have an alcoholic beverage, I don't know.
Yeah.
And then the next one was, so we went back to mismatched libidos. Is it more common than people think?
In relationships, marriages, what
scenario are we talking about? I think it's everything. It's no matter what. It's more common than people think is what it says.
I think women can go without sex a whole lot longer than men can.
Yeah.
To begin with, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
So I think unless you're a very sexual person, and I think, like, if you're not attracted at the moment, you're not, okay, let's talk about single people, I guess, first. So you're single and you're either just the type of person that's very sexual and you just want to have sex with anybody, or you are looking for that right person to have sex with. I think there's a big difference.
Oh, yeah.
What type of sexual person you are, whether you're just going to have sex with anybody or you're going to wait for the right person to have sex. And then as far as marriage goes, are you just going to have sex with your spouse or are you going to look for an extramarital situation? I think, you're dealing with, people are different. You're going to have all kinds of different scenarios. And I think, like, when you get in a marriage with somebody, most people think that they're just going to have a regular sexual relationship. And I think some women find out that men are going to do other things or women are going to do other things. And that can cause a breakup because there's certain things that certain people are not going to want to do.
Right.
I know of one circumstance where a man wanted a husband wanted his wife to do a certain, perform a certain act on him, and she just thought it was disgusting. And she didn't do it. And then I don't know how many years went by, and I'm thinking, he's probably cheating on her. And I want to say it was probably 10 or 12 years. And she came to me and she told me that she caught him cheating on her, that he had been cheating on her this whole time. So what it boils down to is when she told him no, he went looking elsewhere. Because that's
why
what
don't you just break up with the person then?
Well, they had a family. Okay. Men do not like to leave women. that they're
you're
in a
hurting
relationship
the person. You're staying in the relationship and you're hurting the person.
They don't care.
Well, they need to care.
Because they think about themselves. So they want the home cooked meals and they want the nice cars and they want the home and the kids and they don't want to break all that stuff off. They don't want to mess up their routine.
Mm-hmm.
And so.
And it's just sex. That's what
So they just look for something that satisfies that.
Mm-hmm.
And then they go back to their otherwise perfect life.
Yeah. Well, there's a certain.
And you know,
place
she
for
still
people
stayed
like
with
that.
him.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But,
She stayed with him.
you know. But that is another topic I actually wanted to touch base with is these relationships. If you're expecting a certain type of sex, say you want to have sex 3 times a week and your partner says, absolutely not, I can't keep up with that. I'm tired, I have children or that I take care of. That's on the woman's side.
I don't think I could do planned sex.
Well, that's the other thing. So
I mean, with kids, I think you probably got to.
But before they enter the relationship, before the children, before everything, I expect 3 times a week.
You're talking about you?
No, I'm talking about this person this general person.
But why would they put a label on it? Why wouldn't they just play it by ear? Like, I think that if you have that chemistry.
I'm going somewhere with this.
Okay. I'm going to listen and play along.
So if you are expecting that in the beginning of the relationship, you're expecting 3 times a week. And the other person.
Did you have it 3 times a week before you got married?
Yes, 3 times a week.
With the same person?
Same person.
Okay.
Then, things happen. You get married, you have children, jobs change, whatever. Maybe the wife stays home now and takes care of children, whatever it might be. Things change. Are you going to go out and do that? And do you expect the wife to be like okay with that? Or the husband to be okay with that? Like, you're not providing this for me. So this is something I just read. This is why I was asking you.
Not if I was married. If I was married, I would not be okay with it unless, y'all don't even want me to say this, but unless you were in a type of open relationship. Or
That's where I was going.
Or swingers or whatever. I don't know what your particular, just for a regular marriage though, no. They need to work that out or they need to break up first and then go do. But I mean, I know they're not going to want to break up because they have kids and they have family and they have jobs and they have a house that they can't only pay their mortgage. So when you have 2 separate incomes and you've got to pay her child support now, and this is why men don't do that.
Yeah.
And this is why a lot of men are not going to get married. And they're not going to want to get married and have kids. And I get it. I mean, I didn't have any kids.
Yeah.
And I feel like, at some extent, I'm thinking like a male.
Right.
Because I was always thinking, well, what if this happens or what if this doesn't happen or whatever. But like you said, in a marriage, no, I don't think it's acceptable unless that's your agreement beforehand.
That's what I was saying.
Unless that's your agreement.
This is what this article was saying, was that dating and relationships had changed so much that now people are going into them and they're saying they're having polyamorous, whatever,
I mean, yeah, if that's what you agree to. But if you're saying you had sex 3 times a week before then, and now you're not, and
do you go to your partner and say, you're not keeping up with this, let's talk about having an open relationship. We're still together. I'm still supporting you. You're still supporting me.
I don't see a man doing that. I see a man starting a relationship with going behind. I think he's gonna be embarrassed. He's not gonna want to tell her that. Now he might try to force the issue and say, "Hey, we're having sex tonight," kind of thing. Like I need to, know, what do you expect me to do? I think there could be some raw conversations about that being brought up. But for the most part, I think if a man does not get what he's wanting at home, he's gonna look elsewhere.
Right. So,
and I think women do too.
Yeah. So this was the other thing. People that are in relationships who don't have sex at all, but they do get married. They don't want children, but they want the stability. Maybe paying bills or having a house.
I don't think anybody gets married and doesn't have sex at all. I
don't either.
How
is that even possible?
Well, I think what they're talking about is they get married in a regular relationship. And they fall out of love, or they have animosity toward each
that's
other.
part of it too.
But for the most part, they just stay as friends, and pay bills and live their life because they, at the time, if you think about it, they didn't know of anything better, and they're probably scared to go out on their own, or didn't have that wondering eye. They might have had the wondering eye, but nobody was able to act on it or
Right.
whatever. And so they're going to stay in that relationship and just hope things get better and whatever. And then at some point they're going to be talking to women, or women talking to men, or whatever. At some point there's going to be, and then, whether they stay together or not, I don't know. I think everything's kind of up in there. I mean, you look at the statistics of how many people get divorced.
Oh yeah.
There are people that have been married 4 and 5 and 6 times.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, if I can't figure it out in 2, I don't need to try.
Right. Yeah, I think after a certain point,
if I'm gonna get tired of you, I don't need to marry you.
Right. But it's just like a thing now. Like you just go to McDonald's and order
It's
your
not,
divorce.
because literally in South Carolina, it takes an entire year of separation. Now, I did find out the other day that if you stay in the home,
Mm-hmm.
they're more apt to. There's a way with an attorney to get divorced quicker, I guess, because you're not splitting up the home with the kids and things like that. And so, you're staying in there, but you're not having a relationship where if someone leaves, they're thinking they're going to come back or something. I don't know. I never addressed this with the attorney I consulted with.
Mm-hmm.
And I waited the whole year,
Right.
had the 1 year separation. But apparently there's other ways to do it, but who would want to get married and go through what I just went through in the last year again? That was a pain.
Well, not all of them in that way.
No, but I'm just saying, I get it because I was married for such a long period of time.
You mean like these people that keep getting
the
married?
People that the yo-yo marriages and stuff, like, why are they getting in and get divorced? I mean, they must have the money to hire an attorney and just like let them take care of it.
But why get married? Why can't you just be in a relationship?
They want to lock you down.
Okay, but that's not going to keep them from cheating. That's not going to keep them from having a wandering eye or whatever.
Most of these ones that are locked down are the ones that are cheating nowadays.
I know they are. But I also, like, the other side of the sexless relationship is, yes, you had a great sex life or whatever, but now either someone is ill or,
And that's another thing. When you marry for life, it's like you want to know that when something goes wrong, that you can count on that
sickness
person.
and health. That's the whole point of the vows. Hello.
But,
Yeah, I get it. I think it's totally fine. Like, if you get to that point and it has something to do with that, I think that's perfectly fine. I am going to scroll down because some of this we've kind of already said.
I always drink all my drink and you don't.
I don't know.
I
told you before we started, my head hurts.
You're going to start fixing me too.
Yeah,
we need a bartender. Do we get any?
Or maybe we need a Stanley cup for you to be drinking out of is what we need. So
I said last time I needed a bartender. I forgot to check the email.
Nobody is volunteering. So okay, dating and sex in 2025. Hookup culture versus intentional intimacy. So
what was that?
I don't know. We've had thunderstorms
like
all
somebody
day.
rang the doorbell.
I know, but
it's like, it's a bartender.
We've had thunderstorms all day today, so
I'm tempted to go answer to see if that's a hot bartender.
I know, right? If they're listening,
somebody send me a hot bartender.
So I feel it says, are people having more sex or less? I think everybody's having sex right now.
I think they're having more sex,
except for me. Anyway,
no comment.
I mean, it's everywhere. Yeah. Everybody's always talking about it. I mean, I just heard a story the other day that shocked the out of me. This person,
it's just so much easier to talk about it.
That's what I'm saying.
It's just crazy. It's just like it's almost hilarious to some degree.
But yes, I do think people are having more sex now. How does sex influence who we choose to date long term? Do you think you have that initial time and you're like, yep, nope, I can't deal with this for the rest of my life?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Finding the one that you even want to try that with is the problem. And then, Lord have mercy if you found somebody and it was just bad.
No, I know. Everything's perfect but that.
Oh.
What would you do?
Everything's perfect.
What if they could do other things that would be good for you, but the sex part is terrible?
We'd have to have a conversation.
Okay. Alrighty then.
That's definitely, you'd have a conversation.
I'm not dating anybody, so I don't care.
There's got to be classes on that. So.
I'm sure. All right. So let's see. Oh my Lord, I'm not saying that out loud.
Do you want to spell it? Or do you want to just show me?
Okay, I'll just say it. It's not like we don't have a podcast about sex, so, in relationships. So, the most important relationship sex tool.
Oh, I thought she was going to say orgasm. Damn.
What do you think it is?
Okay, read the question again.
What do you think is the most important relationship sex tool?
Relationship.
I have the answer, but when I read the question, I was like, what?
Relationship sex tool.
Yeah.
Is this a physical object or are we talking
I
about
can't
something
tell
emotional?
you. What is the first thing that comes to your mind?
Sex tool. Physical attraction.
Okay. You want to know what the answer is?
Yeah, hit me.
Communication.
Yeah, communicate. Hold on. Let me text you. You want me to come over? You know. What?
I am assuming.
But you're talking about relationships.
Yeah, but I feel like, it is important. You have to talk about it. At some point, you have to talk about it.
But you have to have a physical attraction with this
Yeah,
person.
you do have. I told you.
But if you're already married, you probably did have a physical attraction.
Right. I am visual. I have to see something about that person that I find attractive to, even want to approach them or them approach me or whatever it might be. If I don't see that,
I think there has to be an initial physical attraction, and then I think
after that is personality and whether they can make
I was
me
going to
laugh,
say what's that
stuff,
the old word you would say is like the
you sure have said old a lot today.
Yeah, it's kind of
like
good.
old
it's
the
not,
old days.
It's not good.
Mm-mm.
It's not good.
Mm-mm.
I'm rolling with the new times though. So, but I think the physical attraction, the chemistry is the word I'm looking for.
Right.
You have to have chemistry. There has to be like that spark.
Right.
I think
feel like when they're talking to you and you're talking like it, that back and forth thing. There's no lull in the conversation. Yes, that can happen later on. You can be sitting in the same room and still be comfortable with that person.
Get a few butterflies or whatever in your stomach or whatever. But,
but I do think
if someone messages me and asks me to go out and I'm sitting here like this, no.
Yeah, I have to have other things to talk about.
Yeah, I don't need to go out with you. I can't force some feelings or, But I think, I've heard this a lot. I've heard women tell me that a guy that they dated, they were not per se physically or attracted to them, that they grew on them. And I think that's hard. That's a hard one for me. I think pretty quick if that spark's there.
Oh yeah.
As far as a relationship goes. Now, sex, I think everybody has their own expectations of what they're looking for. Some people just want to have sex to be having sex. Some people just want to have sex with an attractive person and they don't really care what's inside or how they feel or if they're friends with them or, the old friends with benefits type thing. But some people just want to have sex. You're just a number, kind of thing. And then they ghost you. But for the most part, I think there's got to be all that. It's got to be the attraction. There's got to be the chemistry. And then there's just got to be, you've got to be physically compatible sexually.
Sure. I think though, like, just say us, we went to a restaurant, there's an attractive male across the room or whatever. You look at him, you see the attributes. You don't know what he's like. He could be a murderer for all we know or whatever. But
asshole.
Right, or that. That seems to be more of what we see. But you see that visually, you see that first. Now, I have met people and not been totally visually, excited about or whatever, but then I talk to them.
Yeah, they open their mouth.
And then it's a totally different thing.
And they're not unattractive.
Right.
I think when they talk, it makes them, what they say and how they say it, their mannerisms make them more attractive.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And I've not dated drop dead gorgeous men before. But I have dated some really good looking men too. So
I dated a couple of good looking guys when I was younger, and one of them was a model. But yeah.
So it's just, I'm not gonna say who I've dated, but anyway. But
I definitely don't need to say.
But I don't feel like if you're having the visual thing first and you have the chemistry, whatever.
Yeah.
If you have the perfect package, I think sex is just going to come naturally no matter
so
what.
too.
So
I think so
I don't
too.
think that it's going to be that you have to have
And
a
then
communication
and then
or whatever.
I think if it's bad, you're gonna go, what the hell?
Yeah, I know. That would be so disappointing.
But a lot of times, here we go, back to like being a virgin and all that stuff, and first times and all that. You know, I think first times with anything with somebody new could possibly be awkward too.
Right.
If they're nervous or what have you, if they're not as open about their sexuality or they're more nervous or whatever. But you know, you might want to give them a second try. If everything else is there,
right?
You know, things can get
I
better.
think you can tell when it's awkward too. You know, like
I think your chemistry when you get to know somebody, I think things would be a little bit better probably.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And then of course you understand what they like and what they want, and I mean then it comes back your problem that you had before. Are they willing to do the things that you want to do?
Right.
And are you sexually compatible?
Well, my thought at this point in my life and juncture is that if all the things click and then that clicks as well,
he's a keeper.
He's a keeper. But I don't think I'm ever going to get to that point because right now I think that I'm in the men bashing stage or whatever it is.
I told somebody that this morning.
Yeah,
some women are in the men bashing stage.
Well, I don't even
know take it personally.
It's not even a men bashing. Okay, maybe I should say this. Maybe I look at men and I want to throw up more so than I want to bash them because not all men are the same. But I don't even look and see anybody. I might be like, oh, he's okay.
Yeah.
I'm not attracted to anyone. No one. I mean, like I said, you know, Jason Momoa would be the only one, but he's not coming to where we're at. So
I also think there are people that you can be attracted to that are not necessarily going to be like a lifelong partner. Like things that they do or wind up being a turnoff for you down the road or whatever. And, you know, you might just be in a relationship with them for a shorter period of time.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think there's different scenarios.
There are different scenarios.
Depends on what type of relationship you're looking for.
Yeah, I'm not looking for anything. So,
one of those just smacks you in the face.
Yeah, it's never going to happen. So it says to encourage our people. This is one of my little notes. Encourage your listeners to have an honest conversation with your partner this week. So please do that. I know you're probably like listening to this and going, I'm not doing that. But tell them something that you like and ask them if they'll do it or, you know, why wouldn't you? This is a person that you're in a relationship with, and especially a marriage. This is a person that you trust, that you love, that you care about. Don't let them, don't go like all in your
years
and not say something
that
like
you want, that you're thinking about, or you're just too scared to say.
Right. Like, maybe it might be, I want to have sex in public which probably don't do that.
Let's just say an elevator.
Or maybe you want to go out to the great outdoors or go camping, or maybe not camping, but I don't know. In our town, it would be in the back of a truck. I don't know. I have no idea. But out in the great outdoors, you know, blow up a mattress, throw it in the back of the truck. That's what it would be like here. So, but anyway.
Spice things up a little bit.
Spice it up. Tell your partner what you want. So,
I agree.
I think that's something definitely that we are missing.
Yeah, I think even like talking about just marriages and the monotony, we talked about this before, of like the day-to-day, the jobs, the children, things like that, and they forget to date their spouse.
Right.
And that's probably like some of what I was talking about. Like, try something new.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it does, and that's probably why most people cheat, is because they're tired.
I promise you, there's somebody else that'll try something new with you.
Yes, exactly.
If we're attracted to you.
It's probably not happening. So, like not right now anyway. But anyway, so the other thing was,
all kinds of noise going on.
I know that this building is crazy. I really do think it was either the thunder or a big truck going by. I'm not really sure, but anyway. So, a sex therapist.
What about them?
That's where you go to talk to. Like, I guess they're sex therapists.
Well, that's what I was talking about earlier. I said I think if they having these issues and like they might give them some ideas if they're really bored.
Can I be a sex I want to be a relationship coach. It says relationship coach, sex positive comedian. What is that? I don't know what that is either. But can I be one?
I mean, I think that. Ooh, wow.
I know.
I think you have to be licensed to be a sex therapist, but
I don't know.
I mean, unless I don't want to say that would not be appropriate.
Well, I don't. When are we ever appropriate?
That would be pushing the envelope.
Oh my gosh. I would love to be like I've said this before. I would love to be the person that like
fixes people.
Well, I already do that. Look, I'm putting this down because I got a story. What? So I would rather be the person that like found, like the other person for you. Like I want to be a matchmaker. Like I don't want to do that. I feel like it would be fun.
I want to do the 5-minute dating.
I said that. That's what I said I wanted to do. I've been talking about it. That's why I wanted to do it. There's no one here that does it. And so, I feel like if you wanted to do it, you'd have to have a lot of background checks.
Oh, absolutely.
Where we're at anyway. So.
Well, I think all these bigger cities that I was mentioning, like you can't, I mean, like you go over like what I was talking about before, the small city, everybody knows everybody already. They're not going to check background checks, kind of thing. You're just going to know by looking at them whether you can kind of tell whether they're, but in the larger cities, you don't know where they've come from and where,
That's what I said when I was in Charlotte. I went with one of my friends and she did it, but I just went there for the cocktails. But anyway, but it's fun. I watched them do it. It was so interesting because the girls never moved. The guys were moving or whatever.
And really and truthfully, unless you're giving out your phone number or your last name or your contact information, I mean, like.
Now, the person or the people that are hosting, this is the way I would do it. I would do it almost like the Millionaire Matchmaker, which I don't know if I can say that on there, but I'm saying it. So she does it where whoever is the one with all the money is looking for someone, and they already know that they're probably going to only want to date them because of the money, but they want certain aspects from them to be educated, to be able to have decent conversation or whatever. Right. Also have a degree, whatever it might be. But you can't go that crazy where we're at. But you would want to know, like, does this person want children? Does this person want, to get married? Or are they only wanting just to date? Or, that kind of thing.
Surely in these larger cities like Charlotte, Greenville, there's got to be something already going on like that. We need to write up there.
That's what I just said. I went to one in Charlotte, so they already have them there. But where we're at, there is none.
No, but I'm just saying we need to.
No, I'm giving y'all my idea. So run with it. If you want my advice, I will help you. But I don't have time for it probably right now.
No, but that just answered my question about my birthday. Now I know what I want to do.
Oh, my Lord.
We're going on speed dating.
Oh, my Lord. Okay, can I just be moral support like I was with the other girl? Because I don't want to date.
Going speed dating.
I don't
want
to
date. Speed dating.
I don't want to date. So,
I mean, it's only 5 minutes. No, then I can tell people I dated
you're
somebody.
With that one person for 5 minutes. Then the next person comes. You're with that person for 5 minutes.
I can handle somebody for 5 minutes.
No, there's some people I can't handle for 2 seconds.
I mean, just tell me to drop dead then. I'll be like, yo,
I don't know.
That's enough.
Yeah.
Hit the road.
And some of them, I think they've already prepared their speech. I was listening. Some of them have already prepared their
speeches. I mean, it's not supposed to be like, hey, how are you? What do you do? Like, it doesn't flow naturally. Like, you got a speech you're going to.
Some of them did. But some of them would just sit down and be like, wow, you have beautiful eyes. Or
I think you can build a conversation, though, from just general small talk.
Yeah.
But if you come in and go, hi, my name is so-and-so and so-and-so.
Oh, yeah, they're not reading from a script. But
I'm just saying is they already have this in their head and they're pretty much reading all this stuff out. I'm going to be like, no. No.
Pass. Yeah. Ring the gong or whatever it is. And that's what it was. It was a gong. So every time she would ring it, I was like, no. What is happening?
We're doing this for my birthday.
Oh my gosh. They do. You probably got to go to Charlotte because
we're going. We're going. You haven't come up with any ideas. We're going.
Oh my gosh.
Y'all stay tuned. This is going to be fun.
Yeah. So I'll go with support, but I don't want to date nobody. But it is interesting. I mean, I feel like with the people that I am around, my clients and stuff, I get to know them. So I know what they like, what they don't like, the single ones, the ones that are married, But I do know them too. I'm just saying, like the single ones, I would know like what they're looking for in a relationship. And I've already hooked up one of my clients and my other client.
You
So
haven't found me anybody.
I don't have any men that you would be interested in.
Are you saying I'm too picky?
Yes, I am. So, but
why am I too picky?
But you know why you're picky. You know,
help a girl out here. What is my problem?
I don't think you have a problem because I don't see any fault in you being picky because I'm going to be picky. When I get to that point again, I will be picky, but I'm not there. But I feel like most women should be pickier.
I'm kind of thinking the same thing. I look
but
at
men too. Men should be pickier too.
I had a very good conversation with a woman today. No, yesterday. What are all these noises? The building's creaking. I had a conversation with a young lady yesterday, and she is currently in a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And I told her how happy I was for her, and she says, "Well, it's working for now."
So she was already expecting it to fail.
So, and I may have her on the show, so we won't go into too much details.
Mm-hmm.
But people don't want to be alone. People
mm-hmm.
want help.
Mm-hmm.
People want somebody they can count on.
Right.
And people want somebody that will put you first. And I, like you said, I say it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what she has right now, I'm sure. Now, I think she's probably upfront with him and honest with him, and probably has let him know that it's not going to turn into marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Now, will it last a lifetime? Will it be for a certain period of time? I'd let her discuss that. I mean, it may be something that she can't even discuss because she's still trying to figure it out. They're growing their relationship.
Right.
But not everything has to end in marriage nowadays.
No.
So
is this somebody that would be like they're having sex or not having sex, or they've been dating for long enough? Or
you don't think they're having sex?
No, I didn't know how long they've been dating.
Oh, they've been together for a while.
Oh, okay. That's what
I mean, they do all kinds of stuff together. They go all over.
Okay, I didn't know.
But
if this was like really new or
but
what?
No, but I'm just like, you know.
You think they're having sex? Well, everybody is.
Okay.
Apparently.
Well, here's my thing. So what I'm wondering, and I have to ask her that, and I'm not trying to devalue her relationship whatsoever, but did she settle because she wanted something right then and there? And maybe the longer she's with him goes back to what I was telling you about the girl telling me that the guy grew on her.
Mm-hmm.
So is she giving it a chance, or did she just not want to be alone? And she wanted somebody she could count on or whatever. And so it makes me wonder, here I am stubborn over here by myself and thinking, I'm not doing this unless it's perfect. Well, does that mean I should give other people a chance? Or should I hold out for what I'm looking for? And then maybe that person will grow on me. I don't think that's for me, but I'm glad that it works for her.
I'll tell you, it wasn't for me either. My second marriage, I think I felt like if I did not find someone that I was going to be alone.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I'm alone now, so.
I'm okay with being alone. I'm great with it. It's fantastic.
Well, you can do whatever you want to do.
Exactly. Whenever I want to do it. And I don't have to worry about somebody doing something with someone else. So it's great.
I think you still have to worry about that. But
if you're not in a relationship and you're not dating, I don't have to worry about anybody doing anything.
Oh, if you're not in, when you said in a relationship, I'll say you don't have to be in a relationship necessarily to have sex.
No, I'm talking about like myself. I don't have to worry about like if I'm dating someone, who they're with, what they're doing with that person, or anything else.
We've talked about this. We've talked about this before. So when you're dating somebody, unless you're exclusive, like you really can't worry about that. You can, because you want to hope that if the person is vested in you enough to go out with you a second time and a third time, that they're not going to be talking to other women, that they're trying to build something with you.
Yeah, no, the last one I didn't think that at all. I'm just saying that's just one aspect of why I'm not dating.
Well, that might be what my problem is, because I have these guys that message me and they're telling me they want to go out with me and all that, but I still see them talking to other women, and that's a turn off for me.
Yeah.
So like,
That's
even if even if it's like on social media, I'm like, if they were really so interested in me, they wouldn't be doing that stuff.
Yeah, but they know you're going to turn them down, so they're going to start talking to other women so they can see if
they're keeping the field open.
Yes, exactly.
And they're probably right.
I mean, I couldn't probably say anything. I mean, I'm not talking to any of these men, but I have them messaging me. I don't talk to them, but they message me.
Yeah.
Or make comments or whatever, and I'm not even.
Yeah, I'm not going out with any of them.
I'm not entertaining it. I might say hello, but that's as far as it's going.
Yeah, I was saying hello and thank you for the compliment. Like someone would say really nice things, and I'd say, well, thank you, or thank you for your kind words, or whatever, and that would be about it. And then they message me back again. I'm like, I just opened a window. Now they're
exactly right.
So then, like, I just got to where I just don't answer them, and then some of them are married, I feel like, and so that's another reason not to talk to them. And I feel like I need to ask a couple of them, are they married? But I'll be honest with you, I don't talk to them. I just don't talk to them because, like I said, gosh, probably 3 or 4 times. If I don't already know you and you're just behind a computer talking to me, yeah, I'm probably not even going to acknowledge you or take you seriously or anything like that. Now if I already knew you and you messaged me or something, that's different. I'll know whether I'm halfway interested or not. Right. For the most part, not. Because I'm not dating. But if the right person were to message me, I would go out with them. But I'm just not playing on these games with people. I'm going to do what I want to do, and I'm going to play my own game.
Right.
I'm not going to play yours.
Yeah, I'm not.
You may think I'm playing your game. I'm not. I'm playing mine.
I'm not playing games anymore.
It's going to be the way I want.
I'm going to come back to the picky thing, or me not wanting to be in a relationship. I don't want to call it picky. But
you call me picky.
No, you are picky. I'm saying I'm not calling it this part of being picky. I feel like I listen to these people that are in relationships and how bad they are. Right now, I've listened to several people. Some of my clients, some people I work with, just
they're talking trash about their significant other.
Yes,
they're probably not going to be married very long anyway, and that's probably why.
No, some of them have been together for years and years and years. It's what they're picking out about their partner, like what they don't do, what they do, what they say. I'm like,
I think
why are you with this person?
Well, I mean, you got to look at me and how long I stayed and the reasons I stayed, and overall, I didn't think it was that bad. I just didn't know what good was.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's true too, but I think these are things...
You're just comfortable. Some people are just comfortable.
You need to get right with all of that before you start. You have to be right yourself before you can be okay to be good for somebody.
But see, this is where it goes back to getting married right out of high school.
Yeah, and you didn't know any different.
And we didn't know any different. And I really think there needs to be classes on this. It'd be like, don't do this. Don't settle for that.
Well, I think there needs to be classes on all kinds of stuff.
I think I need to lead the class. I'm not going to lie. I wish they would let me teach some of this stuff. These women would be, well, they'd probably be too independent. But, and I'm open-minded to a lot of other stuff, especially now after this last year. I've learned the way things are and how people act. And I think I'm a little more tolerant of stuff than probably most people would be, because I went from one extreme to the other. Doesn't mean I like it. Doesn't mean I'm going to do it. Doesn't mean I'm not going to do it. But for kids coming out of high school, they don't even need to even be thinking that way.
But that's the whole thing. They think they're going to lose this person and never see them again. And so
if they go off to college and stuff, they may not see them again.
And that's...
I think a lot in our generation was trying to get out of your parents' house, like ready to be independent. And you either moved,
it's still like that.
You either moved into your own apartment, or you rushed into getting married to someone that you were having a relationship with, and it's like, oh, let's just go and get married, kind of thing. You thought you were in love, kind of thing.
You also thought you knew everything. You don't know anything. Yeah, quit trying to think that you want to be an adult sooner than you need to be.
I didn't know shit.
You don't want to pay your bills. You don't want to do any of that stuff. I promise you.
I didn't know shit. I ain't gonna lie.
But I think that's just
probably in
hormones.
State.
It's hormones. Like, as a teenager, you think that your parents don't know anything, that they are completely idiots. They are old and decrepit and don't know a thing. And then you become them.
Yeah, and I think like, and it goes back to when I was that age, I really liked change.
Mm-hmm.
And I was looking for what the world was going to be like.
Right.
And then your parents do not like change. They didn't even want to fucking move, you know,
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing. I was like, oh, we're moving, you know,
Right.
like, oh, I get to move, get a new house and all this
Right.
stuff, get a new car, you know,
Mm-hmm.
new house. And they're like, oh man, we got to pack all this shit up, you know. And I'm like, oh, this is exciting. And they're like thinking it's the world's worst
Miserable.
thing. Ask me if I like to move now.
Yeah, no. That's what I'm saying.
So back then, everybody wanted change and excitement. And
I still want change and excitement.
I do too, but I want it a different way. So I think that's why a lot of us got married and wanted to see what life was like. And you didn't know. You just knew your routine of going to school. And you're like, if you're halfway interested in someone or you have a relationship with someone, it's like, let's try it, you know, kind of thing.
Yeah, then you got in that relationship and you did the same stupid thing over and over and over and over again. So it was no different.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying. You're exactly right on the fact that we should teach our children. First of all, we don't do home economics anymore. They don't know how to even sign a check. They don't know how to do any of that.
No,
they don't even know how to use cursive.
And do you know, I can actually validate what you just said because I just went and opened a business checking account.
Mm-hmm.
And the young lady that was nice enough to talk to me about some things that have been going on while we were waiting on some information to come through. I asked her, you know, she's talking about her kids and stuff in school. And I asked her, I said, what happens when these new kids come in to open an account? And she goes, they don't know how to sign the paperwork. Mm-hmm. And I was like, what do they do? You know, because they teach them just to print in school now.
Right.
And I said, you know, like, can you just do like an X, like the old thing where your signature is your X, you know, kind of thing. Or like they can print their name and they can say it's signature because your signature is printing your name. This one particular bank did not accept a printed signature, and that's all the kid knew.
So what are they're going to have to sit at home?
She had to teach him how to sign his name.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
That's crazy. And she said at that school, they are actually getting ready to change that.
Well, they changed it, then they took it away again because they were having so many issues. Because you're supposed to start, what is it, like third, fourth grade, whatever. When do you start doing cursive? Second, third? I can't even remember. It's been that long ago.
I actually started learning how to write my name in cursive in the first grade.
See, I feel like it was the first grade because I love my first grade teacher, and that's a whole other story.
She was my favorite teacher.
Yeah, that was my favorite teacher.
I would love to talk to her if she's still alive.
She was at my first wedding, like she was my grandparents.
Oh, wow.
So,
I don't know where mine is. I need to Google her.
Don't, because then you'll get upset. So I feel like cursive is a necessity. Learning how to deal with money, necessity.
Oh, I need to go back and take that class.
How to make your own food, necessity. Why are there no cooking classes or anything? These people go straight out of high school.
Go to McDonald's.
And go to McDonald's. That's what I'm saying. That food is killing you. Get something else. Try and learn how to eat a vegetable. I don't know, but I'm telling you, they don't teach any of this in school.
And going back to what our topic usually is, sex. A lot of these kids are going out having sex, not using protection, not using birth control or something like that, protection. And they're getting pregnant, and now they are tied to this person forever. For life. Forever.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. That's another thing. I was heading that way. Sex education. Some places do it. Mm-hmm. Some people, they're like, absolutely not. I'm sure private schools don't do it, but maybe the public schools are doing it out here in this town. I don't know. But teach children about this. I know you don't want to, or maybe you don't want to talk about it. I mean, people that are...
I think all we got was the consequences of drunk driving.
Yeah.
We watched films on that.
Say no to drugs, people. That's all we probably ever got. Yeah. So, but I feel like those things, those topics are things that are a necessity.
Yeah. Forget the damn trigonometry. How many people do you know that use that shit?
But why
teach them something they can use.
Why
help them?
Right. Why in this education system is that not a necessity?
I don't get it. I don't know who's in charge of education in the United States, but y'all need to.
You have electives, correct? I mean, you get to choose. Are you taking this, or this? Are you speaking French to someone now? Are you?
Did you just hear what I said?
Trigonometry,
calculus, trig.
Okay.
Religion.
We have all of this technology now. Why can't they take a child, figure out what they want to be when they grow up, or their interests? They could do a whole questionnaire.
Well, you know, they had
focus on calculus, focus on
guidance counselors. You know, they ask you like 5 questions.
Yeah,
you know, They just want to make sure you're not going to want to be a mass murderer.
I know, but gear things towards that. Are you interested? Are you in a relationship? Do you like someone right now? Okay, maybe sex education should be something that we put on your list. That to me is something that high school education people need to be talking about that stuff.
Would you like to be the president and vice president? We could change a lot of stuff.
Oh, I don't know if people would want me to be president.
Well, there's a lot of things that I would not have any knowledge of, like all these peace treaties and trading and tariffs and all that stuff.
I look at all that stuff.
And
I just try not to.
That'd be too much for me. But I'd like to do the basic stuff, like, make me the, of education. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I would love
Department
that.
of Education.
Yeah, department. Well, but they got to have a name. Is it superintendent? What is it called? Who is in charge of education? Somebody tell me who's in charge of education, because we need to get
there
them.
should be a secretary of education.
We need to get them out, and we need to put somebody else in.
But I don't think they don't pay attention to that. They want people to be dumb. They want you to be dumb. So when you come out of high school, you're like, how do I sign my name? How do I?
That's because
I have this person pregnant.
Well, that's because by the time we're dead and buried, it'll be a socialist country.
I'm sure it will.
Hope not. But
anyway, I do feel like it is back to the topic. If we talk about it, then we will know at that point, like, is this something I'm interested in? And I'm not saying, okay, they're always saying man, woman, but also educate on the other. If you feel a certain type of way towards your same sex, whatever, I don't know, but educate. How hard is that to, go from that point?
I agree. It's really sad. We could sit here and talk about this for a long time because it kind of upsets me. I don't understand why we don't go back to common sense for a lot of the stuff.
Because everybody has lost their common sense. Everyone has lost it. I think after COVID, everybody lost their common sense.
They say a lot of people who have a lot of book smarts have no common sense.
I feel like I'm half and half.
I would say I'm more of the common sense person, because I think, like, you can give me a situation and I don't know how to fix it, but I can apply common sense to it and work it out. I'm always figuring out a way. That's what happens when you're an independent person.
Yeah. Well,
you have to take care of you. You have to figure out how to do these things because, like you said, nobody taught you.
Right. I feel like I educated myself.
Well, I mean, me too. I mean,
reading.
I was a latchkey kid. What are you talking about?
Right. Like, reading everything I could get. Like, I literally soak up everything. Like, that's why everybody wants me to go to the, to do the trivia things and stuff like that. I have useless knowledge in my head because I'm constantly reading things and watching things and, something to educate myself.
If it doesn't pertain to me and it's in a movie, it goes.
Now, my mom would say I have no common sense when it comes to men. So there you go. Maybe I am the book smart and not common sense more. I have no idea.
I don't know how.
Well, we're trying to cause all kinds of noises today.
I don't know how two women who get called beautiful all the time and gorgeous and pretty and all this stuff cannot find a decent man to date.
Where we live? Maybe. I don't know.
How are all these other women finding men? Are they just settling? Oh, we are too picky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have up until this point not been picky enough, so I'm going to be picky from now on. Actually, no, I'm not going to be picky. I'm not dating because until I get myself everything situated that I want to get right.
I think that's a little excessive because you don't. I mean, obviously, we're probably not going to date. But just say you're not going to, and you don't
not
know
right
what,
now.
And you don't know what you could go to Charlotte tomorrow and meet somebody, and then you'd be like, I said I wasn't dating, but here I am wrong, kind of thing. But I don't know. There's going to be some opportunities for you to meet some new fellas here coming up with some of these things I have.
I was going to say, unless Jason Momoa is at the 5-minute dating thing.
Jason is not that great. Jason is not that great. We want someone that's real.
Goodness.
And so,
I just. I'll go with supporting you. And I'll sit there and listen to whatever they have to say, and I'll be like, I'm
not going to lie. I've met some really nice guys this past year that are either married or too young. So they're out there. They're just taken.
The young ones are taken too?
The young ones that I found interesting. I mean, not that I would date them because they're just too young.
Right.
But I'm just saying that some of the ones that I
I
met
think
that
you
I
need to
thought were
let that part
interesting.
go too.
No, these are way too young.
Oh.
We're not talking like a reasonable
Yeah.
amount. You know, I'm not that old. You know, but like, what are we going to have in common?
I don't know.
If the only thing you have in common is sex,
I've met some
then,
people that are in their 20s that are old souls, and they can
Yeah.
hold a conversation.
yeah,
with
but are you
very
going to
well.
be able to build a life with them?
No, I'm
You
not.
know what I'm
These are
saying?
not people I'm going to have a relationship
Exactly.
with. I'm just saying they're old souls, and they will
Yeah.
possibly,
Yeah.
you know.
As I said, you can meet somebody tomorrow that you could hit it off with. Doesn't mean you're going to marry them, but you might have a good relationship with them.
It could
of some
happen.
sort. Yeah.
But
So I think you shouldn't be closed-minded to that.
oh
but,
no, I'm close.
like, don't walk up. I'm telling you, if you keep walking around with me with RBF, we're going to have problems.
I don't. I have literally not been doing that. And in
I'm
fact,
proud
people
of
that have
you.
been working with me, I get in my head, and most of the time, if I have a disgusted look on my face, it's because either the sun is in my eyes. So you were talking about me having my glasses on that one time.
Mhm.
I have wide eyes. If I don't keep sunglasses on, I
Oh, I
instantaneously get a
get
headache.
I get pink eye if I don't wear sunglasses.
Well, I've never heard of that, but
You know, and pink eye is contagious, so you want me to wear my sunglasses?
yes, but I did probably keep my glasses on that day because I have wide eyes, and any kind of glare, even when it was bad earlier with the
Don't make
thunderstorms.
excuses. I asked you questions you never answered.
You
were mad at the world. Don't get
mad.
me wound up. Don't get me wound up.
I
We're just going to
literally-
chalk that up to a bad day and move forward. Oh,
my goodness.
Don't get me aggravated. You can make all the excuses in the world. It's not. We're not gonna. No, we're not gonna.
I'm just not gonna have RBF. I'm just not gonna do it.
Exactly.
If you see it, just come poke me. But I am not promising I'm not gonna get in my head and be like, have the face or whatever. But I have seriously started working on it, and my mouth hurt, my jaws hurt from trying to smile all the time. I feel like I'm back in my beauty pageant days. I'm like,
well, I mean, I just think you can look at the world several different ways. You can be miserable all the time because people have hurt you, or you see them and they upset you, or you can choose to be a happier person and look toward better things. You can still be upset about those things.
that wasn't why I
But
was upset that day.
I know, but I'm just saying in general, like I can look back at my past and be in a bad mood all the time.
Yeah, I don't do that anymore.
Or I can look at it like I just want to be a good person. I just want to be in a good mood. You want to be. That ice maker's going at it again.
Yes.
I mean, nobody wants to be around, a sourpuss.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, the things you were just saying, those are not the things that I'm usually thinking about.
I know.
It's not just a person or just things. It is literally all the stuff that I have going on in my life. That's why I get those faces.
Well, I mean, we all have baggage. We all have issues. If I sat there and was thinking about everything in my head of what I've been through in the last year, nobody would want to be around me.
That's what I'm saying.
So I would just stay home.
That's why I'm choosing not to have RBF.
Exactly.
So I'm doing it.
I'm proud of you.
But I am not in my head about nobody, so don't even be thinking that. Sorry. I'm just throwing that out there. I'm not.
Me neither.
I am not in my head. It literally now is all the things that after this discussion, I might be thinking about sex. I don't know. But it's been forever at this point. So maybe that's what'll be in my head. So I'll just be like this all the time. I don't know.
It's going to be an interesting summer, folks.
Oh my goodness. But no, I am steady working on it. But I do.
We got lots of stuff to keep us busy. We're not going to have time for a man anyway. But if he just happens to walk across my path, and we'll just
I'll just have a goofy grin on it.
we'll just figure it out from there. I got too much. You got too much stuff going on. I've got too much stuff going on, and it's not feasible where we live, and so But we're going for my birthday. We're going to do that.
I don't know that they have it all the time.
Well, we're just going to have to figure it out.
It might be later on in the year. Who knows? Nobody's probably doing that during the summer anyway, I wouldn't think. Because they probably think, oh, everybody's going to the lake and the ocean and this and whatever. So they'll find their man or woman or whatever. So,
okay.
But, so I don't know what else? What other topic? Did you have any other topic?
I didn't check the email. I'm not going to lie.
Okay.
But
I think that was easier for me to do this, and my coworker mentioned the thing in the cup again. So if you guys have any,
Yeah, I thought I was getting
Topics.
questions for people tonight, but we were just talking about topics tonight. I
different.
thought I was getting questions.
The topics, I mean, that particular, I mean, really is a lot. It's a broad range of things, which your expectations in sex are. So, I mean, you could have several different discussions on it, but I'm not going to share what my expectations
I was going to
are.
say, we talked about all this, but we really didn't share our expectations.
No, I mean, if you guys have some ideas or whatever, then please let us know. I don't think anybody ever emails. They just see me and say, "Hey, you should talk about this."
I get a lot of questions and comments in person.
Yeah,
I do get a few by like Facebook Messenger and stuff like that. I get some comments, I get some questions.
Yeah.
I get people that ask me, can they be on the show and things like that. So since we had a bunch of technical difficulties last week, and so it kind of rolled over into this week, I thought by this week we would have a guest, but anyway, it just didn't work out. But we'll have to.
Well, the person you were talking about earlier.
Yeah, I'll ask her.
Yeah.
And I've already got the next guy lined up for June. But I just think that there's a lot of things that we could have discussed. I think about the last two guests that we didn't touch on. I mean, I actually was right impressed with the two guests we had and some feedback that I did get from people, not necessarily the emails and things like that, about their stories and things like that. But I had a good time with them being here, and I think people really enjoyed it. And I think
you'll have to approve, I guess, whoever I have on here.
Are you asking me?
I'm just saying.
Well, I mean, there was a couple that asked me, and you said no, so I'm just saying.
Yeah.
So
that will be a hell no for the rest of the time that we have a podcast.
So since I am the managing member of one of the companies, I'll take that. Yes, I'll approve them.
Everybody I ask, they're like, I don't want to bring my issues.
And
out.
I get that. I think I have more laid back people as friends, as far as I think a lot of yours are married and in relationships. I think a lot of mine.
I have one that will come on here.
Yeah.
We might not want them to.
Yeah. That's just like the one that wanted to come on here, and you'd be like, oh, hell no, kind of thing.
Oh, no, that was only if I asked the question, so.
Oh, yeah, well, we can see about that.
Yeah.
But, I think we have to be careful who we do have on here because we don't.
Well, and this person may have changed their mind, but I feel like we could have a group.
Oh, I have a married couple I'd like to come.
No, I don't mean two people. I mean a group. Like have a group thing. Like,
do I get to ask the questions?
We both would. We're the podcast people.
But I want to hear your answers too, because a lot of times it's mostly me talking.
No, I would ask questions.
I'm usually the interviewer,
and
I'm the person. I'm not letting them interview me.
No, I think that's what we need. So if you are interested in this little project that we have, that's what we should do.
We don't want a bunch of people that don't know each other coming on here.
Why not?
I think if we were doing a group, it would be a group that we already know.
No, I mean like couples. I mean like couples. Have couples come on.
I just said I had a set of couples that was wanted to be on here.
But a group. I don't mean like just two. I mean like you have two couples that want to come on?
I can do two couples.
Okay, well do it. A group. Because it'd be me and you and the four of them or six of them or whoever you have.
Oh, it's going to get interesting up in here.
I've asked the couples that I see as
they don't want to tell their business.
They don't want to tell their business.
Well, I mean, I get it. Like, you have to take what I say with a grain of salt. Sometimes I'm in here and I'm wound up and I'm fussing and cussing and I'm talking about somebody and they think I'm talking about somebody in particular and I'm not.
Yeah.
And then I might tell you some stuff, and how do you know if I'm even telling you?
But we don't have to talk about sex.
I will give you my honest opinion of how I see things, but necessarily me telling my personal information, you don't know if you're getting it or not.
Well, I've told them they don't have to talk about sex. It's just about their relationship and what makes it work.
That's why I said you have to tell what you're comfortable in telling, and then I usually just tell my outlook on at the moment, how I feel about things. It doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to talk about my personal experiences and things like that. I'll throw a few things out here.
Maybe that's what we need to do. We'll spice it up. Start talking about our personal experiences.
Lord have mercy, I won't be able to go to work the next day. Gonna be some fights in paradise.
Well, anyway. I guess we'll end it here. We'll have to discuss what we're doing.
Yeah. Well, anyway, we're gonna I got a busy we got a busy weekend coming up, and then we got my birthday weekend coming up. I'm gonna call those speed dates, and so
if they have any.
Yeah. So we'll be back in touch soon, and that's all y'all getting for tonight. I'm not gonna lie, she's done over here. She's about to make me laugh, so we're just gonna stop where we're at. But we appreciate you guys joining us and watching all of our nonsense, and
we just like arguing in front of you, those kinds of things. That's fun. It's hilarious.
We'll see you next week.
Bye.